What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to tell you about my trip to the very first Lorcana set championship in the world. Yeah, that's right, in the entire world. Technically, I was the very first person in the entire world to win an Enchanted Stitch at a store championships. Yes, I know a couple found their way into packs, but I won mine, and I got handed mine before anybody else. And you know what? That's important to me. Also, for full disclosure, I was invited by Ravensburger and given awesome swag, which I'm going to show you later. So technically, I think that makes this a sponsored video, hashtag ad, all of that good stuff. I did receive something of value, and then I made this video. So let's just make sure we tick those boxes, shall we? But I know some of you are going to be looking at this thing and hang on a second, Wassy, set championship sounds fun. I want to go to a set championship. Well, you can, not now, but in a couple of days. They're going to be happening from the 19th to the 28th of April, and get in touch with your local game store. I can't give you a list of every game store that's running these. That would take too long. Although there is actually a store locator on the website, which I will link in the description of this video. But just get in touch with your local game store, because you know what I tend to do? Genuinely true. I get in touch with my local game store when I want to go to events, and if they say they're not running that event, I'm like, well, you know, maybe next time. And they're like, yeah, maybe next time. And I've heard of many local game stores who don't run events, and then their locals get in touch and they run them next time round. Seriously, 19th to the 28th. Store championships, you can win yourself a Stitch. I saw this Stitch in person and I was like, that's a beautiful Stitch. And no, I didn't have to photograph it on a Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard playmat. There were 8 different playmats. It is not a coincidence that I chose that one. What's that, you say? I should have zoomed in and taken a picture. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, I totally did. But maybe we should take a step back. So over last Monday, that was Monday the 8th of April, I was invited to the Disney store in London for the first ever set championship. There were 8 people attending, which, if it wasn't for me and my opponent, would have made for a very nice, easy, free round tournament. Seriously, right? Free round tournament. Here's the prizes for a set championship. First place, you get the Stitch Champion mat. Second place, you get the Stitched non-champion mat, and then you get a Stitched promo card if you finish in the top 4. And actually, 8 people works out really well, because there's one person who goes 3-0, they get the champion playmat. There are then 3 2-1s, each of which get a Stitch. One of them gets the second place playmat, that's where resistance, opponent's win percentage comes in. And then there's 3 people to go 1-2, one person who goes 0-3, they don't get the Stitches, I'm sorry. And we ruined it this game, mostly my fault. I'll get to that in a moment. So I turned up and I didn't know exactly what the guest list was going to be. It was a bunch of very friendly people. And the only person I knew that was actually going was the lovely Charlie, who is the editor of Tabletop Gaming, a magazine that I write for. And if you read that magazine, you might notice that for the past few months, there's been a 2-page Lorcana article every month, written by me. That's not a coincidence. That's very deliberate. So I knew Charlie was going, and I knew I was going, and then I found out Lorcana Villain was going, which made me a little bit happy and a little bit sad. Happy because, and I can now confirm this is true having hung with them and played them, they are a very lovely person, and it's nice to have Lorcana people there. And sad because, well, they're really good at Lorcana, and them turning up massively lowered my chances of winning the event. But more on that in a moment. So we rock up, and I've done things properly. I've taken my Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard mat and official accessories and all of that. They've actually set up tables. It was downstairs in the Disney store in London, in the little area where kids can sit and watch clips of Disney movies. We got to sit and play. And if you're wondering why I've not taken a video here, oh, there would be Disney songs, and that would not go too great. So we sat down. There was just enough room to put a table for 8 people. They'd put 8 different official playmats out, and we got to a free round tournament to try and figure out who got them their Stitches. I was almost late because as I was walking there, turns out they're making an NBA store on Oxford Street right down the road. But it's not open yet, so I didn't get distracted by basketball things. I got to the Disney store. I sat down. And my first round opponent was Specky. Specky or Spessy, I did ask them. They said either is fine, which doesn't actually help that much, honestly. And they're lovely. But here's the problem. They hadn't been home since the weekend. The reason they hadn't been home since the weekend is they had actually been in Poland at a very large Lorcana tournament, getting top 4. So of course they were my round 1 opponent. And seriously, it's pretty intimidating to turn up to an 8-person Lorcana tournament filled with media and a couple of content creators, many of whom are very casual Lorcana players, and then your round 1 opponent is that dude that just got top 4 at a giant event in Poland. That's a bit intimidating. Now, in terms of the deck I was running, I would love to tell you I had some massive homebrew. I would love to take a lot of credit. I can't. The deck I played was Zach Biven's budget deck. It's a really fun deck that I enjoyed very much indeed. It is Amethyst Steel. I love the deck, but I can take no credit for it. I did try other decks. I tested a bunch of different things. I tested a bunch of changes to Zach's list. And you know what happened at the end of it? I just ended up with the exact list I started with. The general theory of the deck is quite simple. You go fast. You go fast, you get lots of lore quite quickly, and after a few turns, and maybe I'm playing it wrong, but I won a lot on Pixelborn, and I did pretty well at the tournament. I think I'm playing it all right. After a few turns, you do end up mostly in top deck mode, and your opponent makes a bit of a comeback, but the theory is you win quick enough, or you get a big enough lead, that it doesn't matter when your opponent starts coming back. So I'll sit down round 1 against Specky, and they are playing Emerald Steel. And they're playing a big discard deck. I'm seeing a lot of Cursed Merfolk. I'm seeing a lot of Flynn Rider. And I'm seeing a bunch of Prince John, who draws when I discard, which is honestly like super annoying. But you know what? Game 1 I go first, and I get out to a decent lead. And I'm playing empty-handed. I said I often end up going to top deck mode with the deck anyway. So I just put myself into top deck mode a little bit faster than I normally would. And there was nothing to discard. And Specky wasn't drawing with Prince John because I wasn't discarding. Got off to a decent lead, took the win, delighted. Game 2, I go second. I don't get such a fast start. And you probably knew this already, but let me confirm. Yeah, Ursula Deceiver of All was obviously in the deck. And this was a game where Ursula really started putting in work. I wasn't able to keep my hand low, and shall we say it didn't go great, but I've played enough TCGs to know you scoop, you go to game 3. Went to game 3, and game 3 I had the best start. Turn 1, I play Maleficent. 1 cost. Quest for 2. Sounds good. Turn 2, second Maleficent, and Befuddle. I know treble Maleficent is a good start, but I prefer double Maleficent and Befuddle, and game 3 is going well. And I'm building a big lead, and I'm feeling great about my chances. And then time's called. And I'm 1 turn too few I have in the end in order to win. So we tie. This is how we screwed up the tournament, incidentally, because then, like, for the next 2 rounds, one of us is getting paired up and one of us is getting paired down. Both rounds, little bit awkward. Hey-ho, can't win them all. Round 2, I am drawn against Matt from Tripwire Magazine, and they're playing a pirate deck, and they're playing a bunch of Moana stuff in there. It's Ruby Steel, and it's a fun game. My deck is fast. My deck does what it's supposed to do, and I move on to round 3. Oh, if anyone's wondering, obviously I got paired up round 2 against a round 1 winner. And then we go to round 3, and one of 2 things is going to happen. Either I get paired up against Lorcana Villain, who at this point is 2-0. We will be playing in the final, winner gets the playmat, but I've got to play Lorcana Villain, who's also incredibly good at this game. Or I get paired down, don't have to play Lorcana Villain, probably get second place, but have no realistic chance of getting a champion playmat. Well, obviously I get paired up again, got paired up both games, obviously, standard. And I'm going to spare you the suspense. Couldn't beat Lorcana Villain. And I don't think it's a lack of skill on my part. It's they're a really good player, and their deck was so good against mine. I needed phenomenal starts every game, and I just could not get fast enough starts. And when I say phenomenal starts, I don't mean good starts. I mean I needed phenomenal starts. They had a bunch of cards with Rush that were taking me out. They were playing Amethyst Ruby, which I'm sure we're all kind of familiar with at this point. But honestly, they wrecked me with Pinocchio. Pinocchio Talkative Puppet ruined the final for me. because I would constantly play like 2 good questers with a bodyguard, and Pinocchio would just come down and be like, ha, gutted. And they'd have 2 characters of which they could attack. One would take out my bodyguard, and then Pinocchio would rest whatever they wanted, my Maleficent or my own Pinocchio or whatever, and then that was it. I couldn't win. I was never winning the final. Lorcana villain had me, and there was no arguing against it. We could have played that 5 times. I'd maybe win one because I have a really fast start, but there was absolutely no way I deserved to win that final. So I end up losing and coming in 4th place. But you know, when they give out those stitches, they give out 4th place first, don't they? So technically, who won the very first Enchanted Stitch in the entire world? On a technicality, it was me. And I'll be honest with you, it's lovely to have the pressure off and have the Enchanted Stitch. And I might need to miss my own Sword Championship because of the whole dad thing. So having the Stitch in the pocket, excellent, excellent start. But seriously, the one thing I need to tell you about this tournament, it was about the most fun tournament I've been to in a long time. And I mean that very sincerely. You know when you go to locals and there's, I don't know, like 8 of you, for argument's sake, and you're all just getting along and laughing and chatting and just having fun? Yeah, that. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, and I loved it, and I had a wonderful time. Everyone was nice to me. Everyone was chatting and laughing with me during games. Nobody was taking it too sensibly. We all had a wonderful time. Oh yeah, and look at the participation swag we got. Box of Into the Inklands, trove of Into the Inklands, the Moana mat, which is clearly the best mat from Into the Inklands, and I have the best mat from every set. I am delighted. And then we got a Scrooge McDuck promo, pin badges, and then of course I got my Stitch as well. For an 8-person tournament, pretty busted prize support. I was delighted. I had a wonderful day. Shout out to Ravensburger for taking me along and inviting me, and frankly, I hope it happens again. And if they're watching this, and I think they might peek in on this video, I will make time if you want to do this again. I'm around. I'm available. Let's do this. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Are you prepared for your store championships? Is your store doing a store championship? What are you going to be playing? How much do you like the deck I showed you of mine? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, which is where we chat Lorcana and a whole bunch of other card games. And of course, do make sure you look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.